Hey, hey.
All right, please stand back, sir. We're just dumping a little excess sewage here. I hope those shoes aren't new. Oh, God.
There are not that many different varieties of political campaigns. I mean, sure, every candidate is different, every race is unique, every election turns on its own issues, but, you know, basically, if you're running for public office, you're going to employ one of three strategies. You'll say, my opponent is a bad person, I comparatively am a good person. Or you'll say, my opponent has bad ideas, I comparatively have good ideas. Or my opponent has changed his or her mind about his or her ideas. That's otherwise known as the flip-flop offense. And those, right now, are sort of the three standard garden varietals for political campaigning. Democrats this year, though, are confronted with the need for a fourth one. This is a strange one, and I'm not sure how they should use it, or for that matter, what it should be called. I mean, what's it called when your opponent takes strident, ostensibly principled, table-pounding stances against themselves? It's not necessarily that they're bad people or that they have bad ideas. They're not really changing their minds either. They're just fighting against the policies they agree with, and they're doing it vehemently. We've been seeing a lot of this lately. It happened during health reform with the debate over the individual mandate, whether or not people should be required to buy health insurance. Here, for example, is a debate over the individual mandate, a debate between the 2009 edition of Republican Senator Chuck Grassley and the 2010 edition of Republican Senator Chuck Grassley.
But when it comes to states requiring it for automobile insurance, the principle then ought to lie the same way for health insurance, because everybody has some health insurance costs, and if you aren't insured, there's no free lunch. I believe that there is a bipartisan consensus to have individual mandates. I personally think, and I think constitutional lawyers think, that the mandate in itself is unconstitutional, because never before in the 225-year history of our country has the federal government said you had to buy anything.
I wonder who won. I think Chuck Grassley won. But it's not just that the Republicans were once in favor of the individual mandate before suddenly deciding it was unconstitutional, as exemplified there by Senators Grassley. It's that the whole individual mandate idea was a Republican idea in the first place. It was conceived by a group of conservative economists and health policy wonks for the first President Bush back in the late 1980s. The same Republican senators introduced it then who came out vehemently against it in the 2000s. Now, we saw the same sort of Republican attack on Republican ideas in February of this year when President Obama tried to create a bipartisan commission to cut the deficit. These 6 Republican senators, these here, were all once co-sponsors of a bill to do exactly that, to create a deficit commission. But then President Obama decided that he agreed with those senators who had introduced it, and so all those senators who had supported it in the first place all voted against it. It was their idea, and they voted against it. So there's this strange political phenomenon. It's been happening over and over and over again. But in the last week, it has really blown up. First, there was the issue of campaign cash. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell led the filibuster against his own ideas on campaign finances last week. He helped block